Welcome to Map Your Mind. Travel through the world with your brain. Alright, let's hop over to Southeast Asia, where emerald rainforests meet cutting-edge skyscrapers, and the scent of satay floats through streets, echoing with centuries of stories. A place where ancient kingdoms, spice routes, colonial power plays, and multicultural magic all collide in one beautifully complex tale. Picture this. You're walking through a dense rainforest, mist curling around towering trees that have been here longer than most empires lasted. Cicadas buzz like a living orchestra. Somewhere nearby, the smell of lemongrass and charcoal wafts from a village kitchen. Now, leap forward. Your feet hit pavement as you stroll through a neon-lit street market, where towering skyscrapers loom above golden-domed mosques and street vendors shout in 3 different languages. That's Malaysia for you. It's not just a country, it's a living, breathing fusion of myth and machine, jungle and jet fuel, tradition and transformation. Long before it was called Malaysia, this land was already telling stories. On the coasts, ancient Malay kingdoms traded spices and stories with Indian merchants and Arab sailors. Farther inland, the indigenous Orang Asli and peoples of Borneo lived in harmony with the rhythm of the jungle, preserving ways of life that still whisper through the trees today. Then came the empires. First, a Buddhist maritime giant that ruled the waves and linked ports from Sumatra to Siam. Then came Malacca, a sultanate so rich and cosmopolitan, it was once one of the most important trade hubs in the world. Merchants from China, India, the Middle East, and Europe all passed through, leaving behind ideas, architecture, and languages that still echo in the alleyways. This was a place where faiths met, food blended, and cultures overlapped long before the word multicultural was a thing. But then came the sails. The Portuguese arrived in 1511, muskets in hand, and gold in their eyes. They took Malacca, cracked open the trade routes, and opened the floodgates for European colonization. Not long after, the Dutch swept in. Then the British, each left their stamp. Churches beside temples, rubber plantations stretching across the hills, railways slicing through jungle, and with colonization came labor Chinese and Indian migrants brought in to work the mines and plantations, who stayed, thrived, and made Malaysia their home. It wasn't always peaceful. There were uprisings, resistance, and deep questions about identity, who belongs, who leads, and what kind of country could be built from so many histories layered on top of each other. Then came war. In World War II, the Japanese occupation turned everything upside down. It was brutal, but it shattered the myth of Western invincibility. When the war ended, Malaysia looked around and said, "We've had enough." And so the long walk to freedom began. Through negotiations, politics, and the will of the people, Malaysia gained independence in 1957. They called it MYM, and it wasn't just a political moment, it was spiritual, emotional, electric. But like any good story, the fight wasn't over. Malaysia had to learn how to live as a family of many cultures under one roof. There were growing pains, racial tensions, economic disparities, but the country pushed forward. It adapted, evolved, and found strength in its diversity. Today, Malaysia is a place where past and present hold hands. One minute you're in a glass elevator shooting up a 90-story tower. The next, you're walking barefoot through a centuries-old mosque, hearing the soft rhythm of evening prayer. And all around you voices speaking Malay, Tamil, Mandarin, Iban, and English, blending like music on the wind. It's not a perfect country. No place is, but Malaysia is bold enough to keep dreaming, rooted enough to remember, and wild enough to still surprise you. Fun fact, the Petronas Twin Towers in Kuala Lumpur were once the tallest buildings in the world. But here's the twist. They were designed by an Argentine architect, built by a Japanese and Korean team, and filled with Malaysian soul. If that doesn't sum up Malaysia in a skyscraper, nothing does. So when someone mentions Malaysia, don't just think beaches and shopping malls. Think rainforest kingdoms. Think colonial collisions. Think of a nation stitched together with faith, food, and fire. Because this land doesn't just tell stories, it's one. And here, on Map Your Mind, the journey's just getting started. Where to next?